Jim Simons, a brilliant mathematician and former Cold War codebreaker, revolutionized the finance industry by building a highly profitable trading operation based entirely on mathematics and data, not emotion or traditional market analysis. He saw the stock market not as a battlefield of human intuition, but as a complex system of hidden patterns or code waiting to be cracked. This unique vision led him to create Renaissance Technologies, a hedge fund whose flagship medallion fund delivered an unprecedented average annual return of 66% for over 2 decades. He and his team of scientists ignored the conventional wisdom of Wall Street, things like economic forecasts and financial statements. Instead, they built a sophisticated black box machine that consumed vast amounts of data and used complex algorithms to find and exploit fleeting market inefficiencies. This mathematical oracle made emotion obsolete, executing trades faster than human thought. Simons' journey from solving abstract geometry problems to creating the most profitable hedge fund in history is a story of genius, obsession, and a vision so precise that it completely rewrote the rules of reality for trading, from academia to markets. Lesson 1. The reluctant genius Jim Simons was a quintessential mathematician, not a financier. He wasn't driven by a desire for wealth or fame, but by a pure obsession with solving complex problems. His early career as a brilliant PhD and Cold War codebreaker taught him to find patterns in chaos, a skill he later applied to the financial markets. While others on Wall Street saw a noisy mess of emotion and randomness, Simons saw structure, hidden laws, and a code waiting to be cracked. This unique perspective allowed him to approach trading like a scientist, with hypotheses and data rather than ego and instinct. When he started his first fund and lost money, he wasn't discouraged. He saw it as a learning opportunity, a sign that there was room to improve. This scientific detachment was his greatest strength. He wasn't trying to prove he was right. He was simply trying to discover what worked. Simons' success came not despite his difference from traditional traders, but because of it. He didn't conform to the noise of the market. Instead, he saw the invisible laws beneath the surface, proving that by rewriting the rules, he could win a game he was never meant to play. Lesson 2. Math over madness. Jim Simons believed that navigating the market's complexity required equations, not intuition. He built his team at Renaissance Technologies with scientists, physicists, cryptographers, and astronomers who understood chaos and systems. These recruits were chosen for their ability to see patterns where others saw randomness, with interviews that included solving puzzles like finding the optimal way to cut a pizza. This team built models that processed thousands of data points to find repeatable phenomena, such as a correlation between rainfall in Brazil and coffee futures on certain days. They focused on the what, not the why, of these patterns, a statistical approach that was heresy on a Wall Street obsessed with narrative. The Renaissance advantage was like having a sonar system in a forest, allowing them to scan the market for signals instead of guessing their way through it. Their success proved that a scientific, data-driven approach, even with occasional errors, would ultimately outperform traditional, emotionally guided trading. Simons wasn't just playing a different game. He was rewriting the rules with math. Lesson 3. The code of the market. Jim Simons and his team at Renaissance Technologies pioneered a data-driven approach to trading by viewing the market as a language with hidden patterns rather than a chaotic mess. They treated market prices like an ancient script, focusing on what tends to follow a specific sequence of events rather than questioning why it occurred. This led to the discovery of unusual, statistically verifiable patterns that defied traditional financial logic, such as the full moon effect and the Monday morning massacre. They even gave these strategies whimsical names like Rubin and PB&J to describe complex correlations between seemingly unrelated assets. One such pattern, the donut, consistently generated millions before suddenly vanishing, illustrating the temporary and fragile nature of these market inefficiencies. The patterns were not static. They were dynamic and constantly evolving as the market adapted. This led to the key insight that human behavior tends to rhyme in its irrationality. Renaissance's success stemmed from obsessively studying the past to find these invisible footprints of human actions in the price data. A prime example was the Ghost, a tiny 1.3-second arbitrage opportunity that was too fast for humans to exploit, but generated millions in profit for their machines. This proved their belief that the market is habitual, not efficient, and that these habits leave traces for those who know how to look. Lesson 4. Death to Intuition. Jim Simons founded Renaissance Technologies on a radical principle: that human intuition was a liability in trading. This was famously proven during the 1987 Black Monday crash, when his fund's models signaled massive buy orders while other traders were panicking. By trusting his system completely and ignoring human fear, Renaissance ended the week with an 8.8% profit. To institutionalize this discipline, the firm implemented the penalty box, where human overrides were tracked and consistently shown to reduce returns by an average of 23%. This data-driven approach led to a bold decision. They removed all manual trading buttons, making the system fully autonomous. The power of the Renaissance lay not just in the brilliant code, but in their unwavering obedience to it, creating a machine that executed trades without ego or emotion, making human judgment obsolete. Lesson 5. The Rise of the Machine. At Renaissance Technologies, a quiet but profound shift occurred when the trading machine, nicknamed the Spider, became more knowledgeable and capable than the humans who built it. This algorithmic organism was a complex system that processed data from thousands of sources in real time, adjusting its parameters every minute and executing trades in microseconds. A key turning point came in 1998 when a model made an illogical trade, selling Japanese bonds and buying Italian telecom stocks, just before Russia's debt default sent shockwaves through the global economy. This trade, which made $237 million, demonstrated that the machine was capable of detecting invisible pressure and adapting faster than any human, even those with Nobel Prizes. The ultimate power of the Renaissance didn't come from human control, but from Simon's design of a system that could trade better than anyone and his disciplined decision to trust it completely. This trust, unwavering and rare, was the true source of their success, but it also highlighted a flaw. The machine couldn't account for the unpredictable, ego-driven psychology of the humans who worked with it. Lesson 6. Brains at War. Even at Renaissance Technologies, where the most brilliant minds in finance were assembled, human ego proved to be the one element Simons's perfect system couldn't fully account for. Despite a compensation structure designed to promote teamwork, the firm was rife with internal conflict, from a calculator-throwing incident at a Christmas party to the deep-seated rivalry between senior leaders Robert Mercer and Peter Brown. This tension, fueled by a desire for individual recognition within a system built on collective intelligence, threatened to tear the firm apart. Simons ultimately learned a painful lesson. Intelligence is not immunity from human flaws like envy and pride. He had to step back and force his top lieutenants to work together, a move that revealed a new truth. The machine they built had become so powerful, it was bigger than any of its creators. The system no longer needed their full understanding, just their inputs, leading to the controversial decision to lock out the outside world entirely and operate in absolute secrecy. Lesson 7. The Secrecy Pact. Secrecy was not a choice for Renaissance Technologies. It was a core policy essential to protecting their microscopic edge in the market. Jim Simons understood that their statistical advantage was a fragile whisper that would disappear if others learned their methods. This led to a culture of extreme discretion, from employees being forbidden to discuss work with spouses to using coded language for trading strategies. The firm's most notable defense was a 2-year garden leave, where departing employees were paid millions to not work in finance, essentially paying them to forget. This intense paranoia was justified when they discovered a competitor was trying to reverse engineer their strategies, to which Renaissance responded by deliberately changing their patterns and taking a loss just to mislead them. The ultimate act of secrecy came in 2005 when they closed the Medallion Fund to all outside investors, reasoning that explaining their 66% returns to outsiders would reveal their methods and kill the golden goose. While this secrecy protected their advantage, it also isolated them, creating an impenetrable fortress that eventually faced its own challenges, including the question of whether their incredible success was even legal. Lesson 8. The impossible becomes inevitable. While Jim Simons and his team at Renaissance Technologies were achieving what many considered impossible returns, their success drew intense scrutiny and legal challenges. Critics, including Warren Buffett and Senator Carl Levin, questioned if their incredible performance, which included an 80% gain during the 2008 financial crisis, was due to genius or cheating. Renaissance's defense was simple. Our clients used math. That's not a crime. A 3-year IRS investigation concluded their methods were unusually sophisticated but technically legal. The company's unique ability to profit during chaos was best illustrated in 2008 when their SPIDER system detected what it saw as pure, crystallized panic, exploiting broken correlations to make hundreds of millions. However, this perfect success came at a cost. The immense wealth it generated became a burden, leading to anxiety, strained personal lives, and a feeling of being trapped. They had solved the market's code, but created a human puzzle they couldn't crack, proving that perfect success can lead to an imperfect life. Lesson 9. Predictable irrationality. The greatest secret of Wall Street, according to Renaissance Technologies, was that humans are predictably irrational. Jim Simons' firm made billions by identifying and exploiting the psychological glitches that cause people to repeat the same mistakes. They found patterns in everything from New Year's institutional rebalancing, where fund managers predictably sold losers in January, to the 3:30 p.m. panic, where bad news caused more selling in the late afternoon because traders were fatigued. The firm even profited from the emotional fallout of divorce and the collective weekend decay, a phenomenon where bad news released on a Friday had less impact on Monday because people simply forgot. The most profitable patterns came from trading against vacation paranoia, where they sold the fear that caused traders to overprice protection before holidays. Renaissance's success wasn't based on brilliant predictions, but on the boring, endless repetitions of human nature. They didn't need to understand why people made these emotional mistakes, only that they would. In essence, they became the ultimate counterparty to our collective emotional habits, and in doing so, glimpsed a darker truth. That human behavior might be as predictable and mechanical as the code their algorithms ran on. Lesson 10. Beyond the market. Jim Simons, a brilliant mathematician and former codebreaker, revolutionized the finance industry by viewing the market not as a battlefield of human intuition, but as a complex system of hidden patterns or a code waiting to be cracked. This unique perspective led him to found Renaissance Technologies, a hedge fund whose flagship medallion fund achieved an astonishing average annual return of 66% for over 2 decades. Simons deliberately hired scientists, not traders, to build sophisticated algorithms. His philosophy was simple: detach from emotion and trust the cold, hard logic of mathematics. This was famously proven during the 1987 Black Monday crash, where his model correctly signaled massive buys while others panicked, securing an 8.8% profit. The firm eventually removed all manual trading buttons, proving with data that human intervention consistently reduced returns. This unwavering obedience to the code was the true source of their power. The Medallion Fund, nicknamed the Spider, evolved into a self-learning organism that found patterns too complex for humans to even name. One legendary trade involved buying Italian telecom stocks and selling Japanese bonds just before Russia defaulted on its debt. The machine had detected invisible pressure that no human could see, leading to a massive profit. Simons's genius wasn't in trading better than anyone, but in building a system that could, and then having the discipline to get out of its way. To protect this fragile, microscopic edge, Renaissance became a fortress of secrecy, implementing extreme security measures like a 2-year garden leave for departing employees. The ultimate act of discretion came in 2005 when they closed the fund to all outside investors, realizing that explaining their methods would be the same as destroying their golden goose. In his later years, Simons's attention shifted from markets to a new mission: contributing to humanity. He began funding research in fields like mathematics, autism, and cosmology, viewing it as a way to find compound returns in human knowledge. His foundation, for example, pioneered Math for America to improve education by treating teachers like professionals. Simons's ultimate legacy, however, is his framework for thinking. He showed that the principles of pattern recognition that conquered the market could be applied to personal life. He believed that everything, from markets to human behavior, follows rules. His final message was that once you see these hidden rules, you can choose to either exploit them or explore them. He did both, but recommended the latter, leaving behind a profound invitation to use this knowledge not just to win, but to build something truly meaningful.